Your wisdom went the way of your airways. How many teeth should any modern human have? It's a really simple question, but it's one of those ones that no one is asking or even noticing. Why is your airway shrinking, or why are you not sleeping well, are two really related questions that people are asking more about but don't seem to have answers to. Both less space for the teeth and less space for your airway seem to have increased massively over the last 30 years in parallel trajectories, seeming to affect the same people with sleep apnea occurring a little later in life. So what's going on? In this video, we're going to look at the current situation. We're then going to look at where we were in the past, where we were before. Then we're going to do the why and how is this happening before going on to how this change is affecting us. Then we're going to say, is it reversible? Then we're going to say what you can do to affect it. I'm going to make a summary, and then we're going to have some warnings. Now, I promise that I will do some blatant advertising, a lot of it for your own benefit. And one important thing we're going to talk about is the cross-sectional area. So this is going to be one of the technical things we're going to talk about. You need to understand this. If I cut a sausage in half and then I looked at the amount of meat exposed, that area would be the cross-sectional area. So you're going to need to understand that to really understand this video. So the current situation. It seems that modern humans have around 28 or sometimes only 24 teeth. Now, dentists are being taught that 28 teeth are normal, and that if someone has 28 teeth in a good arrangement, this would reflect perfection as far as how teeth come together. And the absence of wisdom teeth in either this reflection of perfection or within the general public is totally unquestioned. No one suggests that this is abnormal in any shape, form or way. This idea of 28 or 24 teeth is a starting point in all research. It's what would be in any examination for dentistry or any dental subsection. All the case presentations I've seen at orthodontic conferences have 28 teeth usually, and of course in marketing, and of course I've got sort of several models here. This is advertising clear fixed braces, this is advertising a type of low friction brace and another low friction brace. So I've got these three different models here, and all of them have 28 teeth, 28 teeth, 28 teeth, and of course I've even got this model behind me here that's got 28 teeth. And I could buy models to show kids how to brush their teeth, and again they're going to have 28 teeth. So to sum this up, in the modern current situation, this is the modern normal with 28 teeth. So where were we before? What was the history? Here's the best decent image I could find on the internet. Remember, I massively lack resources. I can't, it's crazy. I have no backing, no behinding. I'm broke. I've been made broke by the system. If we look at this image, what we notice is a spacing at the front and the increased width. This is quite a wide arch, wider than most normal people today. But I do notice there's a great lack of wear, and there's not a lot of space behind the wisdom teeth. So this isn't an ancient skull. This is a much more modern skull, but someone who's got good natural dental alignment. Now, if we're looking at this, we can't call this normal, can we? Because we've already got a normal, we've got the modern normal. So we need a new definition. We're going to call this one ideal. And this is kind of like backed up with the research, because, we've found thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of skulls of our ancestors have been found from thousands or more different places. And there's a really clear, obvious trend. And it's clearly obvious that our ancestors had 32 teeth. So the summary is that everyone used to have 32 teeth in the past. So clearly, what's happening? More importantly, where has the space gone? Because if you didn't have space for your wisdom teeth, or in case you didn't have wisdom teeth, remember, historically, it was very, very rare to be missing teeth. This is quite a modern thing to be missing teeth. Maybe it's suppression of teeth because there's not space. So that comes the problem, where has the space gone? Because that's why most people get impacted wisdom teeth. That's why most people get wisdom teeth problems, because they lack the space. this. For 99.9% of humans' existence on this planet, we had the space. We had those teeth coming in. We can see from the fossil or the skull records it was there. Also, there's no other mammal of the, 5,400 different species of mammals, no other mammal out there that seems to need these routine extractions like the humans do. And, crazy, all my fingers fit in my hands, is that just good luck? And so I went down this morning to buy some milk before this, and I asked the girl in the shop what she thought, and she said, we don't need them. And it's this kind of suggestion that we don't need them, and this is some type of evolutionary shift that really does interest me, because this is kind of like the underlying subliminal suggestion here. Well, if you're thinking that, you clearly just don't understand how evolution works. You're really on the level of flat earthers as far as your science goes. How can a profession even entertain such an idea? If you consider the purpose of science and education, and you believe this, then something's gone deeply wrong. You might as well be putting PubMed on the same level as TikTok, because this is just silly. So what's happening? It's not genetic. We know that because the evidence is piled high and deep. Please just go and look at it. When I talk to many dentists, they go, we don't know. Well, clearly, go look at the evidence. It's just being ignored because it's clearly there, a lot of it. And the orthodontic profession is openly admitted. This isn't hidden, it's not a secret, it's openly admitted. The orthodontic profession basically have no idea why this has happened. They're not actually even thinking it's a problem, let alone worried about why it's happened. And in sleep medicine, apart from obesity, there's little general agreement on that cause either, which is interesting. Two areas not really understanding the cause of the problem they're treating. Now, does this matter to you? Because I think it does. The summary here is that something has happened, and this is not normal. That's the really important thing. Well, we have norms, ideals. So now we're saying, why and how is this happening? There's a large and growing group of rebel orthodontists and dentists who think that there is something happening, that this is related to something, and we're saying that there's been a change in the shape of faces. So we've gone from this ancestral, we called it ideal, and what we've changed is, what's changed in modern society? Well, we're not living as we evolved to live. We've gone from this really tough, rough, hard diet to this really soft diet. We've gone from having our mouth closed, breathing out our nose, to getting blocked noses, having to mouth breathe and hanging our mouths open. Then of course we've got early weaning, bottle feeding. We are not living as we used to. We've changed massively. Now, if you hang your mouth open and you've got weak muscle, well, you've seen someone who's had a stroke. You know that's true. You know I have a point. And the suggestion is faces have dropped down. It's a little bit like you've got a little child's toy and you've stretched it and it's got a little bit longer. Or you've got a waxwork model that's got a little bit too close to the fire and it's melted down. Yeah. The official term for this, the published term, is craniofacial dystrophy. And so here we've got an image, okay, and we're looking at how the face is downswung, and the reverse would be an upswing in facial form. This is a really simplistic form. It's a lot more complex than this, and I'm only taking one pattern of how it can go wrong. Clearly, you see some people with jaws that are forward, some people with jaws are set further back. This is just the simplified version. We don't need to be complex here. So now we go back to that cross-sectional area we were talking about. I just want to talk about the extremes here. We've got the ideal, the more upswing facial form, and that's got plenty of cross-sectional area, so plenty of space for all 32 teeth. So all 32 teeth get the go-ahead to be developed, they all come up into place, and everyone in the past had perfectly straight teeth without seeing an orthodontist. Then we had the other extreme, where someone's face has lengthened, they're downswung, and they've got a reduced cross-sectional area. They only have space for, let's say, 24 teeth, because let's say you don't have wisdom teeth, but also you had 4 premolars extracted for orthodontics. So now you're down to 24 teeth, an 8 tooth reduction in size. Okay, there's just not space for those teeth. There's been a deep change. So here we look at it in cross sections. We're looking at it sideways as the face is down swinging, as it's lengthening. You'll see how you get this constriction at the back, at the airway level. This concept fits the science? And the alternative to this concept is simply, we don't know. My profession doesn't know. So this is our best guess as to what's happening and why. How is this affecting us? Here we've got the before and after sideways view. These two arrows are exactly the same length. They're both centered on the front tooth, and you can see that we've got a significant reduction in the cross-sectional area, and there's a lot of stuff that's got to fit in that space, mainly your tongue. And if there's no space for your tongue here, it's going to be pushed backwards into your airway. This new normal is now the gold standard. It only has 28 teeth, so it must represent a face which only has space for 28 teeth or possibly less. So what we're looking at is a structure that's significantly different. And if you had crooked teeth, then you would probably be below this level. And you've had some help to either extract some teeth and arrange them in the space that remains, or you've had some expansion to gain a little bit more space. We all have friends. We all know people who represent this new normal. I take a single person here, a single example that I hope most people would know, to give some illustration to this position. Now, here we've got Donald. Donald has a good modern facial development, but I would say that his face is flatter. His cheekbones aren't as prominent. He has some cheekbones. He's got lack of support under the eyes. His chin point isn't very far forward. He's certainly not looking like Brad Pitt. He's not looking like an ideal. So how is this affecting us? Part two. Well, if we take our modern normal, the moderately downswung facial form, we then take the image we showed earlier on of the upper teeth, and we give an illustration. It's no more than an illustration, but it's an illustration. This is his cross-sectional area. It's an illustration showing the green is type of size that would have been available to someone who had 32 teeth naturally, and the yellow is the type of space available to someone who's only got 28 or less teeth. You can see the teeth have all tipped inwards slightly. The dental arch, as we call it, is slightly narrower. And of course, you're missing one tooth, so it's distinctly shorter. So we're looking here at the cross-sectional area. Then we move to another cross-sectional area. On the left, you see someone with a good airway, a nice large airway. On the right, you see someone with a small area. So these are images, but they're cross-sectional areas just like the one we were looking at before. So if I try and overlay the image of the teeth, so to show you graphically where the teeth are in relation to the airway. So here is the image we showed you before with the two areas in green and yellow, and you can see it sits just in front of the airway. And the real important thing here is that there's not a lot of stuff on those images that can be compressed. So if a face does downswing, if it lengthens, if the cross-sectional area is reduced, and these images, these illustrations are just one symptom, it's just one part of the face. So we're using this as a sign of the general trend. And if those areas have changed, as I've illustrated, and there is not a lot of substance here that's compressible. You can't compress the muscles. You can't compress the bones. You can't compress all the connective and other soft tissues. So what is compressible? Well, it's the airway. So is this affecting us? Well, quite possibly. We've got a major change in something. Now, if something has changed shape, maybe it doesn't work as well. But this is going to be totally missed in all the research because we think that 28 teeth is normal. Here's someone who probably lives a more natural lifestyle. I think her head is tipped up a little bit, but I would guess that her airway is significantly better than a modern airway. She would be closer or maybe even beyond the ideal we've been looking at the moment. It's just an illustration, but I would imagine that she's got space for 36 teeth. I remember my father went down to Kenya, some time ago, some 15, 20 years ago. He was just on a holiday, but he decided to take some impression material with him, And he took a lot of impressions out in the villages and out in the hinterland, where he just took a mold of the spare space behind the wisdom teeth of individuals. And he said there was often a centimetre or more of spare space. And this is represented when you look at some of the ancient skulls. Go back a few thousand years, that seems to be quite common. So the evidence suggests that until a few thousand years ago, this is how all humans were. And in the blink of an evolutionary eye, we've gained significant change in structure, which is probably having a significant change in function. Now, clearly I have opened Pandora's box with all of this, for good or bad, but we need to use it wisely. So the next test is this change that we're depicting reversible? Because the real test of a science is to see if the concept can gain change. Well, this is an individual online called Astro Sky. You can Google him. There's lots of photographs of him. He's a real person. I met him on the internet. I've never met him in person. Back in the days when you could still reach me, before my surname had 20 billion hits on TikTok. Now, he was fully grown before he started to try to gain changes. There's no growth going on here. And this has taken a significant period of time. I met him during this process. So I've literally seen him change over a period of time. I've talked to him, we've engaged, and either I'm incredibly stupid or I'm lying to you, but this guy seems to have gained extreme change in his craniofacial structure. If I again put on two arrows of the same size, what we're demonstrating here is just some extra space. He seems to have increased his cross-sectional area, and this is through mewing and changing his posture and chewing and, things that he can do. He's not had any surgery, he's not had any work done at all. Now, if you think this is more beautiful, then this is your interpretation, which may possibly be subconsciously influenced by an improvement in health that you can subconsciously read. Now, this is, I know, a real double-edged sword, and someday I wish that I could make people healthy without improving their looks. It would make this whole thing a lot simpler. Now, he has just some photographs were found on the internet that he's put up there. Now, I don't know, they may be distorted. Let's take this individual. He claims that he's got this change with 1 year with good habits and good posture. Well, that's basically mewing. And he's done it in Spanish, but he's got a really good video where he compares his cone beam, so his three-dimensional x-rays, and it's, there's some good data here. I don't know, maybe he's lying, maybe he's making it up, but there are thousands of people posting results. So in summary, yes, this is reversible, but it's really tough to do this. It makes losing weight or getting fit look like a walk in the park. So I'm not suggesting you should be trying this level of focus at home. So what can you do for yourself to fix this? Well, possibly take these exercises a little less seriously than some of these mewers. But exercises do work. I've shown you some evidence, and it would make absolute sense that they would. The basic principle is to stand up straight and shut your mouth. We all know that we should, but this is a hack where you suck your tongue up to keep a vacuum in your mouth, to keep it closed, and with aiming to keep your head straighter. You cannot suggest that a hack to help you stand up straight and shut your mouth is a terrible idea. Also, you can't say that posture is not getting worse and worse at a rapid and accelerating rate, possibly influenced by mobile phones and other modern lifestyles. We're exercising in all kinds of areas. Our app is a mixture of exercises and hacks for your mouth and face. So, summary, we've got less space for the teeth, we've got less space for the tongue, and we've got less space for the airway. And this will not be obvious while you think that normal is 28 or 24 teeth. Now, we need to see if this is correct or not. Does this argument hold water or not? Please falsify or modify my argument. I'm here to learn. I don't know everything, but I am asking the right questions and pushing the science hard. To do this, donate to this mission. Look at the GoFundMe link below, or buy the app. Look at the app link below. Or in the utter minimum, share this video as far and wide as possible. We need to get answers. We need to know. Finally, the warning. The Mewing app is designed for youngsters. Don't push it too hard. Watch your airway. If you lack space, forcing your tongue back and the mouth shut may push your tongue into your airway. Focus on suction and sacrifice getting your tongue inside your mouth and your teeth together. Let the tongue go between your teeth. Maintaining a good suction hold to try and improve body posture is a huge gain without trying to gain a max vax. If you can, then identify the back third of your tongue, but focus on a simple suction hold to lock your mouth closed and stand up a little straighter and breathe through your nose. Anyone with children are going to instantly become very cool at home because mewing has become cool. You're following a trend. Many of you will struggle. This stuff is not easy. Unfortunately, more than half of you will struggle due to too little space. And the only sensible option is to help me get the spotlight of modern medical research focused onto this problem. I need you to help me to help you. Thank you very much. Please donate.